Move on then to online safety. And well, good news, everyone. Ofcom has set up its new Online Information Advisory Committee and appointed several members. Now, the Online Information Advisory Committee is a requirement of the Online Safety Act, and it's there apparently to provide advice to Ofcom with specific focus on misinformation and disinformation. Its first meeting is going to take place on the 16th of May. And Ofcom says their job under the Act is, quote, to make sure platforms in scope are taking effective action to address illegal content and other material that is harmful to children through implementing appropriate systems and processes. Our role will not involve us making decisions about individual posts or accounts or requiring specific pieces of content to be taken down. No, they will merely be setting the precedent that everybody has to follow, and they're relying on the platforms to be their chief censors. So let's have a look at who's on the committee then. So if we bring this back on screen, well, the chair is a guy called Lord Allan of Hallam. He's also a non-executive director of the Ofcom board, and Ben has been mentioning him on a recent news programme, so look back through the archives to have a look for that. Ofcom has now appointed 5 new members who will each serve 3-year term beginning tomorrow, in fact. The first one that we're going to mention here is Elizabeth Costa. She is the Chief of Innovation and Partnerships at the Behavioural Insights team. So behaviour change and this kind of thing, absolutely fundamental to this discussion. She's also, by the way, a senior visiting fellow at the London School of Economics. The next on the list here is Geoffrey Howard. He's a professor of political philosophy and public policy at University College London, and he's the director of UCL's Digital Speech Lab. He's also a senior associate at the Institute of Ethics in AI at Oxford University. The next is another familiar name, Will Moy. He's currently chief executive of the Campbell Collaboration, which they describe as an international social science research network. But he is previously held for many years the leadership role, in fact, in Full Fact. So there we go. He also took part in the Leveson inquiry and so on. He's been a long-time campaigner on these kinds of issues. The next on the list is Mark Scott, who's a senior resident fellow at the Digital Forensic, the DFR Labs, as everybody will recognize. And he's previously worked as a correspondent for Politico and the New York Times. And finally, then we have Devika Shankar-Grandpierre, who is a thematic panel member of the EU Knowledge Hub on Prevention of Radicalization and a contributing author to the Global Network on Extremism and Technology. So there you go. That's who's on the panel. That's who's on the board. And I'm sure that's going to be extremely useful in terms of making sure that many dissenting voices are shut down over the coming weeks, months and years. But in the meantime, in yet another act of sheer hypocrisy, we had to bring your attention to this because the British regime has updated its country policy and information note on social media surveillance and surplus activities. And this is for Iran. And I'm just going to take I'm going to say I need to issue a health warning here because as I read what it says, various degrees of side splitting may result in the listener. So the first paragraph states, Iran's constitution and legal framework restricts online freedom of expression. Penalties for breaching Iran's computer crimes law range from fines and judicial orders to custodial sentences. Well, in fact, it goes on to say that it also potentially, in some cases, leads on to the death penalty. Anybody who isn't saying exactly the same kind of attitudes and approaches in the British government is not paying attention. But then it goes on to say that social media users in Iran whose posts are deemed critical of the state or against its self-declared high moral standards, or who comment on sensitive issues, may be subject to treatment including harassment, arrest, ill-treatment, torture, criminal charges that is sufficiently serious by its nature, repetition to amount to persecution. And anybody, again, who doesn't recognise exactly the same behaviour in the British government, the British regime, isn't paying attention, and the hypocrisy is just off the